Hey, my name is Steve Moreland, and many of you know me as the Director of Business Development at Success Publishing. But today I want to just really jump outside of my role in publishing and kind of give you 30 plus years of insight on this thing called branding, because it's a really misunderstood subject, and a lot of people believe that it needs to take decades or a significant period of time in order to get the right branding down, because branding at its very root has three legs, if you will. And that is how people know you, how people like you, and whether they're going to trust you or not. So that's where we're going to go here in about the next 15 or 20 minutes. But what I want to do is give you some insights, because a lot of you are probably fans, like I am, of Gary Vee and other rock star individuals like that. And they really go through a process that is, I'm in absolute awe of. But they have gone through years and thousands sometimes of videos, just like the one I'm making right here, in order to finally get that brand. So when they talk about branding and they talk about brand awareness, if we're looking at this from a business standpoint, that's where the term branding is usually about. And what you're usually trying to do is you're trying to craft or to modify or build a particular perception. And perception is what? Perception is how people think about a particular product or service or company, correct? It is how they see it in their mind. It's when you say the brand Coke, or when you say the brand Pepsi, or when you say Chevy, or you say whatever, Mercedes, okay, or Ferrari. All those things cause a picture to come to mind, cause an image. And that image is the brand, okay? So what you want to be sure of is when you're in business, that when people hear your name of your company or whatever, that brand image that pops into their head is something that they love, something that they like, something that they know about, right? As opposed to, I've never heard of that car maker before. Not a good start. So if they don't know you, then they can't like you. And if they don't know and like you, then what happens? There's no trust, okay? So let's back up here and look at this idea of perception. And here's the key thing. Almost all of the television and radio and all of those types of advertisements, ads that we're talking about, billboards on the road, print ads in the magazines, and now everything being blasted on social media every time you're on a search page or whatever, you're constantly getting things, and they have things like logos, or they have particularly brand ambassadors that represent something about the company. So when you see that person and your eyes recognize that face, you go, oh, that's the person associated, that's the caveman from Geico, and bingo, you instantly get a brand awareness, right? So the key thing that business is about is they don't allow you to think about their company in an accidental fashion, because that's just business suicide, right? So what they do is they spend thousands, and some of the biggest companies in the world spend millions and more creating an on-purpose brand. Why? So that your perception is particularly crafted, that they have a slogan, they have an icon, they have a name, they have a mantra. All that is about bringing that brand awareness to you. So the key thing that we focus on here is that all of this is done for a single reason, okay? Everything that we do in the branding environment from a business standpoint is designed to get us to one ultimate outcome. And that is to do what? You should know this already. Let's see, I lost my... It's to do one thing, and that's called, you want to build relationships, right? Relationships, plural. They don't want just one relationship. They want hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. They want everybody walking around with their t-shirt on saying, I love X, right? So that they are showing more brand awareness by social proof that, hey, I'm a fan of this brand. You should be too, is what that is telling you in a subconscious, unconscious way, okay? So this is something that everyone does for business, and you know this. If you've been to college and you did marketing 101, this isn't even 201. This is simple methodology, right? But here's the thing that is stunning to me about most people is there is kind of a separation when you start talking about branding, about you, about a person. They seem to disconnect, and they don't understand that they are equally or more responsible for how people see them, how they perceive who the individual is. And a lot of people want to go with the default to just go, oh, well, I am who I am. And the answer is, well, that's really a poor perception, okay? Because the key thing that happens is you have a distinction out there, just like you do at the brands that are commercial, that are corporate, that are at the top of the game. And they do a great job of crafting on purpose how people see them when they hear that name, when they see their logo, their name comes up or their image of their face pops up. They make and spend a lot of time and effort creating all of this so that you perceive them in a liked fashion, that you know who they are, that you like what they're about, right? Quality or best price or any of that kind of stuff. And that like hopefully becomes something that you love, right? And if you know them and like them, then you're going to trust them, and that builds this thing right here. Bingo, that means we spend our money well. So let's look at this of why individuals don't pay attention to themselves at building their own brand. And then they wonder why when they go into the marketplace, why if no one knows them, how could they even begin to like them? And if they don't know them and they don't like them, then how can they trust them? Well, that means if they don't have all those three elements, there is no relationship, right? So there's nothing there. So what they revert to is the standard practice that you've heard for years and years, and you've been through like I have for the last 30 or 35 years. You've read all the books and you've been to the programs and you've heard the Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy and all the other quote sales gurus that I really didn't even like 20 years ago, and they're giving you the top 10 ways to answer objections and how to sell more and how to bend people's arms behind them and how to just never give up and press and beat them against the wall and help them get your product, okay? And that is just the biggest bunch of garbage, especially in today's more sophisticated and intuitive society. That stuff just doesn't work anymore. And you know that, and that's why those individuals are no longer at the top of the game. So what is it that we can do to help you in your business in 2020? How do we help you develop and work on your brand, okay? So that you're not left up to accident. So people don't just, they don't know you, or maybe they know you, but that's average Joe over there. That's Mediocre Mary. And what happens is when people don't know you and they don't know what you're about, they can't like you because they don't know your message. They don't know who you are at the center of your soul. So what you do is you walk up and start talking to people and you start doing what? You start selling. And the best definition of selling I've ever heard before is trying to get other people to pay for your opinion. And you wonder why people in general hate salespeople. That is why. It's because they don't want to pay for your opinion. They don't even care what your opinion is. What they are looking for is something in the marketplace that is most likely a solution to some type of problem that they're experiencing right now. So if they've got a bad car that's breaking down, then they're looking for a better car, right? Or they're looking for a newer car. They're looking for one that doesn't break down. Or if they don't like the clothes that they're wearing right now, they're looking to buy some better clothes. If their shoes hurt their feet, they're looking for better shoes. If they're looking to get in better shape, they're wanting to find someone that can help them shed the pounds, build the muscle, and have that extra fitness so they have the energy to go do the things that they're looking to do, right? So they don't really care what you are about. They care what they're looking for. So sales is out. That selling and answering all objection is absolutely old school, and it is way past its prime, okay? So what are we going to do? In order to help you brand yourself, we need to focus on the perception, how other people are perceiving you. And this should no longer be taken as an accident of something that just happens by how you stumble around through the business place. Well, how about looking at something that instead of being an accident, we move to an on-purpose action so that we can do what? We do this for one reason, and this is to build relationships, okay? And what is the root word in relationships? We can look at it right here. It's relate. So in order to build relationships, in order to be able to build and grow your business at scale so that people are talking about you in the right way, because you have solved their problems, you've taken away their pain, you've extinguished their panic. That's what we call the P3. And in order to do that, this is all about helping you get branded, okay? So when we go through this, what we're doing is the same thing that a big corporation does, is they get rid of this accidental part right here, and they go with an on purpose. And what are they doing when they have the on purpose? They're doing what? They're creating a narrative, right? And if you go to their website, what's the website called? It's called the About section. It's who is the company. In this case, who are you? Who are you, and why do you do what you do? That is the who and the why. And if you've ever studied or listened to Simon Sinek, one of my favorite people on YouTube, then you'll understand the key and the value of that is people are looking to relate to you, okay? They don't want to be sold. And here's the thing that you understand. When people relate to you, there's one thing that they do that they don't do with a stranger. Do you know what it is? It's they actually share information with you. They share it. They divulge information that the sales guy would absolutely love to have. And they won't give it to you because they know why? This guy's just trying to sell me. He doesn't care about relating to me. He just cares about closing the deal and putting money in his pocket. Okay? That's why that's not happening. That's why there's no information and the person clams up and no deal happens. Okay? So how do you build these relationships? And when you're building relationships, think about it. What happens, like if you've known somebody from your hometown, you might have known them for a decade, maybe 2 decades, and they relate to you, they know you, they trust you, and they like you, but there's a reason for all that, okay? It's taken time for them to know who you are and like how you respond to what? To how things work well? Well, that really doesn't tell you who people are because everybody can put on their best face and act all happy and do the right thing when everything's going well and everything's easy, right? But what they don't do is many times the right thing when things go wrong. That's when you really find out what somebody's character is in the inside, is when the deal doesn't happen, the money doesn't show up, and everything goes into a hurricane. Then you get to find out the test of what people are. So people that have known, like, and trust you, they relate to you, have a relationship with them. They know you, not only through your good times, but they most importantly have seen what? Your ethics, how you act and how you function, what you do right and wrong, and your morals. They see those things that you stand for and stand against, and they see it when the chips are down. That's how people truly relate. So that's the key thing here that also happens with corporations. And you see how a press release happens when something goes wrong and someone gets hurt by a company's product. And when they jump up and go, oh, it's not our fault. They were an idiot. They didn't do things right. It's on them. And what does everybody do? Go, shame, shame. No responsibility, no fessing up or getting into the situation to help. Not necessarily trying to blame or something else, but showing a proactive ability to get in and embrace the situation and find out how do we help? How do we do the right thing? That's how people look at it and go, oh, I like that brand. I'm going to do business with them down the road. This is the same thing that branding happens for you, is how do we change and manage this perception? Because there's 2 schools here, okay? The key thing that we're trying to do, and the reason why this is important to you, is because most people that leave this for accident, okay, they're called grinders. And you are probably a grinder, just like I've been a grinder in my earlier days when I was first in business, okay? The definition of a grinder is individuals that work really hard and they have good ethics and they have good morals and that really great work ethic that we love, but it's like the individuals every day is pushing that big boulder up the side of the mountain. And they work really hard and they seem to be doing the right things. And guess what? They really don't make any profit. They're not making any market changes in what's going on with the number of people that they are branding, that are they're influencing, that they are persuading. Why? To be able to do business with them because they have a relationship, okay? So what is it that we're talking about here is the other group of individuals are called what? Rainmakers. Those are the few that we refer to as the A-list. These are the individuals that are at the top of the game. And it doesn't matter what company they're with, it doesn't matter what the economy is, it just doesn't matter. These guys are always the top performers. They're always getting the trophies, they're getting the certifications, they're getting the bonus trips, and they're living the life that we all wish that we could live. So we're sitting there going, wait a second, they're the same as me, okay? You know, if you cut them, they bleed red, right? They only have 24 hours a day just like I do. And they're not really that much smarter than me. In fact, sometimes they're a little more dull. So wait a minute, why isn't this happening? Maybe it's just this thing called luck. No, it's because they are making sure that they are on purpose on how people perceive them. And it's the narrative that they put together, and that narrative is their story, okay? And another word for this right here, this narrative story is a summary. This is a summary of what you are about, and it is ultimately your identity, your ID, right? Your identity of who you are. You don't have time to go through that information and give it to every single person. So what do? Well, you create a narrative. A narrative is a summary story. Just like we do that for a corporation, we put it on the About section of the website. You need to have this if you're going to change the game and move from grinder into rainmaker and have this operational purpose. For what reason? To be able to connect and relate to people, they need to understand what your story is, and this is all underneath helping them understand the summary of your identity, okay? So what are we going to do and how are we going to do this? Well, if you give me a second here, I'm going to erase this and we're going to talk about the key thing here in building those relationships is helping you relate, right? So if we're going to have the ability to relate, right? Relate means what? Relate means you're like me, right? Or relate could mean you're like what or whom I want to be, right? Cool. So either when you relate to someone, they go, oh, I like that guy. Why? Because he shares something similar to me. He's like me. He would do the same thing because I saw him do a certain thing in a certain situation, and that's the way I would do that. So that's how someone relates to you. That builds a relationship, right? And part of that relationship could also be that, you know, I'm not who that person is yet, but you know what? Down the road, I would like to be like them. I would like to act or respond like they do in life situations. I would like to be on stage like they do, impacting people's lives at not just one-on-one, belly to belly at a time, but at a level of hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe even tens of thousands at a time. Why? Because ultimately I have this thing in my life. I have a mission, and that mission means that I want to do something good. I want to make a deliberate, affirmative outcome that didn't occur unless I make it happen. So that becomes like your life purpose. Well, in order to make the life purpose happen, for you to change people's lives, for you to continue to show them that you're becoming your ever-increasing better version of yourself, okay, then that inspires other people. And what are you aiming at? When you start here, this is where I was at in the past, right? This is who I am now, present, right? And guess what? This is who you are becoming, right? This is your best version of yourself, right? So when people get to know who you are now, you're telling them your story, your narrative about who you were in the past and how you fell down and got back up and fell down and got back up and fell down and got back up, right? Because this is the story that everyone wants to hear, because everybody in life is falling down. Life is tough. Things happen. We didn't expect. Financial crisis, life crisis, people pass away. You lose jobs. Spouses decide not to be faithful to you anymore. Kids do stupid things, right? All those things are fall downs. And what they're looking for is, wow, I like this person because he's either like me. He's gone through all these other things. She has failed 7 times but figured out how to get up 8. And all of this now is giving them a identity of who you are in a summary, right? And that summary version is called your story, okay? Your story now is also about not just who you are, but it's where you are headed. So here you are at your better version today, and every day you're constantly getting toward that best version that you want to have in the future down the road. This is the end, okay? This is where we're aiming, okay? So this is just like our goal and our objective is at the end, who you are becoming, and you want to do something really great. Some people call it legacy. And legacy is about meaning. Legacy is about that your life mattered. And all of this comes down to one huge thing: significance. See if I can spell that here. A-N-C-E. You want the thing that you've done in life to matter, okay? So here's what happens. And in going through all this, what we are looking at is there is an element of know, like, and trust in everything that we're talking about. Because when you start crafting who you are becoming in the future, this is where you're going. This is your goal, right? This is your goal that you're headed toward. And you want people to know your message, right? That you want to have a significant impact. Your life wants to be meaningful. It wants to have counted. And you want to leave something behind so that this world continues to grow. Not that you just came here and you were a taker and you used people and you got everything you could out of everyone else and gave nothing back. No one wants to be like that. No one wants to like someone like that, and they certainly don't want to trust someone like that. So how do you do all of this and make sure that you are creating these relationships, okay? Relationships, and how do you do this so that you can do it at a very quick pace, okay? Well, the key thing that we talked about earlier is KLT, right? You know what that is. KLT, know, like, and trust. Trust, okay? KLT. So, how do you brand yourself using this tried and true, time-proven system here, okay? If people don't know you, then that's bad to begin with. And if they know you and you're just the local average Joe or mediocre Mary that I call them, or is anyone ever going to take action if they know you as someone that is just like them? The answer is no, they won't, because they might listen to you, but they certainly won't listen to you attentively. Attentively means they're listening to you because they already have a relationship with you. And when they have a relationship with you, what do? They do what? They share. Okay? If they know you to be an average person, they're not interested in sharing with you because you don't have any solutions. They're not going to tell you what's an embarrassing thing about them. They've got this big problem that's causing them pain, that they're panicked about, that they're staying awake at night worrying about, because they know you have no solution. So what you should work on is for people to know you. When they're knowing you, they should know you as something that has what? That you have some level of authority, right? Some level of expertise. That's what authority is about, right? And you need to be able to craft your brand of who you are so that people start knowing about your authority, about your expertise, right? Until they know who you are, well, there's nothing really happening, right? They're not going to take advice from someone that doesn't have any authority because they have zero expertise. So this is the first thing that we focus on, is helping someone gain that authority, because this is the missing element that throughout every environment that I've spoke with individuals and interviewed and talked to the super successes and those people that are miserable failures, they either don't have this or they have this in spades, okay? So in order to brand yourself, it's important that you talk about where you were in the past, where you are now, and then where you are going to end, okay? This is the narrative that establishes your authority. I used to fail. I used to be like this. I am now this person. I've developed this expertise. Why? Because I failed and failed and failed, and you keep getting up. That is a story that everyone is wanting to talk about. When you have enough vulnerability to be courageous enough and tell people about where you've made mistakes, that is the first thing that starts making huge and great roads. How do you want to say great impact, or great, it opens the door to people's soul. And it's because that vulnerability of expressing, hey, this is where I messed up and this is how I fell down, and I fell down a lot. That's what I've happened with my life. But guess what happens when you fall down a lot because you've made poor judgment? What happens? That poor judgment eventually becomes experience, and experience leads us to good and better judgment. That's what this is. As I fell down, now I've got all this experience and judgment, and now this is what I'm going to do with it, and this is the legacy that I'm going to leave. This is how I'm going to make my life matter, because I'm going to share my experience, my expertise through my authority. And so what happens is people need to like you, and what do they like about you? They like your story, right? They like your real explanation of who you are, how you failed, and how you've turned failure into success, okay? And keep continuing to get up again and again, and having that grit to continue to persevere is in fact the definition of success. That's how all success occurs. It is that ability to determine and to maintain with dogged persistence an aim at, regardless of the amount of pushback or setbacks, you just keep falling down and getting back up, dust it off, shake it off, and realizing that every time you've met resistance, you've actually gained strength by pushing and resisting against that. That's what I do every day in the gym. It's what we do when we go to school, okay? We're learning by having to take that information and push against our lack of knowledge. And in that lack of knowledge, we actually push forward and we become smarter. That's where the experience comes in. So we need to focus on your story. It needs to be real, and your story has to be a summary, and it has to become, right now, this is your identity, right? Boom, and it's on the upgrade. So when we're crafting this, we're building your story, we're making it real, we're summarizing, this is the about. And guess what? When you share your story and you share your failures and you share where you're going and why you want to go there, what you are sharing is your why, okay? Right? Now, all of this, when you're talking to someone and you're developing this thing called relationships here, right? And your goal is to be able to create a relationship so people can feel comfortable sharing with you. So you share with them first, right? You tell them about your failures. You tell them how you messed up, and that's being vulnerable. But vulnerability is courage, if you listen to social scientist Dr. Brene Brown. So in all of this, what you are doing is you're also sharing, okay, your why. What is it about your passion? What is it that's fueled that thing deep inside of you? That even when you fell down number 3 and number 4 times, what kept getting you back up even when you had the bloody knees? And maybe you did a full face plant like I've done in my life. And you're just torn up. You made a total mess of it. And you know, other people got hurt. It wasn't on purpose, but it was still, and it happened on your watch. So you take responsibility for that. You make reparations for that. You do the bigger and the better thing instead of running away and dodging, right? And so by doing that, what you're doing is showing other people what? How you perform your morals and ethics in the worst situations when you don't have anything to spare. So all of this is getting down here to this thing here when you set yourself up as an expert, okay, and you're showing your authority. You're showing your authority because you're being real about your story, okay, and you're summarizing. And all of this is allowing people not just to like you, you really want people to love you. And that's really what happens is when you share who you are at the depth of your soul, you connect soul to individuals, and they realize this is not about a transaction. This is about one human being doing what? Wanting to relate, to create a relationship with another human being, right? Ultimately, this gets us down to the level of trust, okay? And trust is what I talked about, is how you perform, right? When things were bad. When life was ugly, right? How did you perform? What did you do? What was your morals and ethics? How did you maintain? How did you treat people when everything was turned against you? So this is how you develop this. When you share this, and you share this in this format, you are going to build relationships, not at the thing that takes 10 years for people to do, but you're going to be able to do that in a very quick fashion. So here's what we have to do, and I'll share something with you right now that is kind of the secret or the inside knowledge that we really don't share with a whole lot of people, but I think it's important because what we want to figure out is how can you come up with a system that can help people trust you, help people like and love you, and we start with how people get to know you, okay? So what do we have to do for you right now if you're understanding this and you're going, I've never thought about it this way. This is what I've been missing. This is the syntax or the sequence of what I've been doing that's caused me to sell all the time, and why people, when they see me coming across a parking lot, or they see me walk into the church forum, or they see me, at the sports bar or whatever, and what do? They immediately turn their head and they dodge and they go the other direction. Why? Because they're thinking you're going to come back and do that thing that you did last time, which is trying to get them to pay for your opinion, okay? Stop doing that. What you start doing is start caring about people, and what you start doing is changing how people know you. So you need to start being able to relate to them, what type of authority you have, and what is your area of expertise, okay, right? And then you need to be able to tell them your story, which is really your message about your identity. And your message is basically a summary of your why. What is your passion? What is your mission? What are you wanting to do? And the trust is so that they can be able to trust you to be able to do what? Yep, the ultimate goal is for them to be able to share, okay? So the trust part here really comes from either years and years of people experiencing themselves firsthand how you performed when life was ugly to you, or they get to understand what was the experience of others. When you understand how other people, that's the whole idea of social proof, is other people that have known you for a long time, and they give you a letter of reference, and you take that to an employer, and they say, hey, I've known this guy since X. I've known this woman since we were in college together, and let me tell you what I saw. Let me tell you what I know to be true. And what they do by sharing that experience, it's that social proof, okay, is really something else. I'm looking for another term here in that social proof environment, but this is really an understanding of how not only have you performed in that environment, but it's how others have perceived you to act when it is in your worst scenario. So you do this through referrals, right? Or reference letters, but the other things you can get this through is testimonials, testimonial videos, testimonial text, same thing, okay? So in doing all of this, I've now explained to you, what is it that we're able to do, and what is the breakthrough, the secret science, and the art that we've done at Success Publishing. And really what it relates to is, I'm trying to get something here that'll be distinctive, okay? Because when you understand the value of understanding this, what we do when we help someone become published is we help them get known. And the first thing they do when someone joins as a new author that we bring into our book environment is we help someone develop their title. Their title is a representation of their authority. It is their expertise. So in my situation, I'm an author. I'm an international speaker because I've spoken all over the world over the last 25 years. And I'm also a performance expert because I have a consulting firm and I work with very high-risk performance environments, and I help people get through environments that most people would just snap, crackle, and pop in, okay? I know that because I've been through those environments. I developed a level of expertise, and now that has become my identity. So I share that title with individuals. So what you need to do is when you're developing yours, like we do with our clients that are coming into a book environment, is you have to develop that title, and that title needs to be explaining who that is, okay? The next thing they need to do is you need to figure out, how do you get your story and your identity? Well, you can put it on your website, correct? You can build a brochure of it. The ultimate thing you've got to be able to do is help people understand what your message is. In our situation, what we do is we help people write a chapter, okay? And in our environment, if you want to know more about Success Publishing, instead of having to write an entire book that takes you 60,000 words and 600 days to turn around and a lot of money and a lot of pain, what we've able to do is we hyphenate that. We break it down into a capsule so that you end up doing about 2,000 words in one chapter, which becomes your story. It's the summary of your about. It's helping people understand your why so that they can what? Relate to you, right? and they know your title, they understand your chapter. So in our case, we create anthologies or author compositions where we put together 25 authors, but we take the key author that's their book, we put them as chapter number 1, and we build a title jacket around them that's expressing who they are, their title, their expertise in their bio on the back. And then they write their chapter. The chapter is only 2,000 words, not 60,000 words. Why? Because we do the hard stuff of finding 25 plus other authors to go into that book that writes all those other chapters for them. So it takes about 3 hours of time, and then 60 days later, we turn the books around, title, chapter. And here's the key thing, is the trust. The trust is those testimonials, right? So what do we do, and how do we do that? Well, we've created a system where we go out and allow our new authors to go collect those testimonials from people that have known them the longest, that come from that social proofing. And what we do is we put these testimonials in front of the chapter so that when our authors share their book, the first thing they do is they get to see their title. The next thing they get to do before they read the chapter is they have to read the testimonials. Why is that so valuable? Well, it's just like this. When someone writes you a reference letter, before someone hires you, they are getting to do what? They're getting to see you, some people call it through the glasses or through the lenses of someone else. That's giving them the opportunity to adopt their level of perception instantly, and that becomes how they see you, how they perceive you. That's the whole key thing. When people are doing perception on purpose, they're becoming a rainmaker. They're learning to play at the A level. They don't leave it for accident. It's not for chance anymore. See, that's all about a choice. And even your choice of not choosing to control, to manage your perception of how people see you is a choice not to act. So if you just want to give up and do what you've always been doing, you're going to get what you've always gotten, which is a whole lot of nothing. It's a whole lot of mediocrity and averageness, okay? When you decide to go to that next level to be, let's say, a Tony Robbins, he spends a lot of time branding not just his company, Robbins Research Institute, but branding Tony Robbins himself, okay, is who he is, what he stands for, what he stands against, how he has helped other people, and his title as an expert, right? So when this comes in here as a testimonial, the first thing, though, we bring the testimonials in front of the chapter. So before they read who you are and why you are, what your message and identity truly is, they get to see you through the eyes of those that have known you not only the longest, but have known you through the worst case scenario. When you put all of this together, you end up with individuals being able to relate to you. And that's how we have solved the equation of building relationships at scale. By being able to put the know, like, and trust together in a unique fashion. It is a lot of science, yes, because we have proven it's a scientific process, but it's a process that's been also proven with a know, like, and trust system over time from other people that have nothing to do with us, right? What our art is being able to do this in a fashion that is hyphenated, that is not only cost effective, but it's time effective and it's effort effective. And you put all that together, we're able to change the trajectory of individuals by compressing all this together and making a real difference. Why? Because we look for individuals that are the few that are wanting to impact the many. And that's how we make our life at Success Publishing. That's how we make our effort every day significant, and how we work to make this world a better place, because we deliberately cause affirmative outcomes that wouldn't have occurred otherwise. That's why I search for those individuals. That's why we do our marketing and our branding, to find people that are in the process, that have bumped their head against the glass ceiling, and they don't understand this. They understand maybe the mechanism, but they haven't figured out, well, how do I package this? And how do I package it and put it together so that it doesn't just distract me from everything else that I'm doing, because I'm already at the max, okay? So I hope this explanation of branding and perception and building relationships helped you. And if it did, I hope you'll shout out, maybe do a comment, maybe share this or whatever. And I hope, even if you don't become a client or hunt us down here at Success Publishing, I hope that you will take what I've just given you here. This is from 35 years of business experience that I've had. And I hope you're able to apply this to yourself and, maybe turn around what you've been having as that impossible scenario of trying to get to the next level. Now you know how to no longer be the grinder and jump to that position as a rainmaker. And if you do that, let me know somewhere along the way. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm out there. Hope you have a good day. Take care.